like to bring the Ways and Means Committee meeting to order at 4:02. 4.
I got 401 on my computer.
Well, I don't care what your computer says. April 3rd. Can you take a roll call?
Lutz?
Yes.
Duranczyk?
I am here.
Krieger?
Yes,
DeGeck?
Present.
Kunin? Ryder?
Here.
Herrick? Quorum present?
Thank you. And Commissioner Coonan and Commissioner Herrick are excused. Okay. Before you have minutes of 3/6/18.
I'll move them as submitted.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. At this time, we have public input. Anyone that wishes to approach the podium can do so.
My name is Brad Eddy. I was here at the last meeting to address some concerns to all of you. I am an Auburn, Michigan resident in Bay County, and I want to make sure that everybody's followed up on the concerns that I did have, including the invitation with Ernie and Jim to Lansing. I would be happy to hear how the progress is going on that. I would like to hand out certain law books with the state of Michigan as what's going on right now in Bay County. These are DNR law enforcement books and the job description of the DNR officer. It has come to my attention that there's been charges brought upon some people in the community by the DEQ, and that's enforced by the DNR. So the sheriff has not been knowledgeable. I haven't talked with the prosecuting attorney about it, of these charges. These charges on these individuals have been since 2015. Some are felony, some are misdemeanors, but they run parallel, should be running parallel with court cases in the circuit court system currently that involve my family and myself. So these people who have been found to be under these violations, it should be looked into and not be something brushed under the table. Now I've got 5 copies to go to the commissioners to explain that. I have 9 copies of the complaint to these people that show the violations being what is in the Environmental Crimes Handbook for the state of Michigan. If you wouldn't mind passing those out. I do have, this is the violations. I'd like to give Amber and Jim copies, and also those for the commissioners. Now the violations began with Joe Rivette in 2013. That's when this project started and the illegal dumping began. This began as materials came from S.E. Johnson to the property in Cawcall and the site I'd mentioned a couple weeks ago. This is about a half-a-mile long stretch that blocks off a floodplain. This affects my family's riparian rights. It floods us and another salvage yard. When it come down to it, this is how I feel. The drain commissioner got these violations. The drain commissioner did nothing with these violations. He should have took them to the sheriff, I would say the prosecuting attorney, somebody. These needed to not be thrown in a recycle bin like he had told me he did with them. This is stuff that if it's criminal, why is it not taken seriously? Why do the judges not know about it? Why is this brushed under the carpet, so to speak? When I received some information from a FOIA from Craig Goulet, it showed the information that I am receiving. There's a contractor who's in violation here that's been hired by the County of Bay by Mr. Rivette. When I looked through these, I seen that it was for an oil spill. So to clean up an oil spill, I didn't know the county did that stuff or hired it, but I requested that information. Upon finding that information, it doesn't say where the oil went. What did they do with it? What's their qualifications? Where's the DEQ's involvement? I didn't get any of that from Mr. Rivette. Did it happen? I'd like you guys to find out, because in my FOIA, that information wasn't there. If the county has liability for contamination, let's know that that contamination that the county paid for went to a landfill, where it's supposed to go. I wouldn't think any of us would want to see it anywhere else. But upon finding out that this contractor was hired by the county, I did some looking into their licensing for trucking. Well, they're not even licensed for hire. They have no state of Michigan contractor or dumping permits, let's so to speak, MPSC stickers on their trucks. So that upsets me that these people are being hired by our county, and what gives them the license, what gives them the right to do so, and especially when they're found in violations of these environmental crimes currently. So if we're finding them in violation and Mr. Rivette's going, oh, well, they're in violation, but I got a job over here for an oil spill. Let's give it to them. That's not right. Let's hold them accountable. Let's say, why does he deserve that job? Well, Mr. Glenn Rowley, Bangor Township Supervisor, Mr. Dennis Braggle, Collins Supervisor, related to the contractor. He gets these violations too. He's CC'd on them. Why does he not take them to the sheriff? Is it nepotism controlling our community? I feel so. I feel that a Bangor Township grant that was recently given for the Collin River watershed was recently given to these contractors for $160,000. That upsets me that a contractor can be in violation in this county and still get work. Still get work. Let's pat the criminal on the back. That's not good, people. And if this hasn't been brought to any of your attention, I'm bringing it now. The judges, the courts, they all should be aware of this. This should not be sight unseen. If you guys want to drive by, I got signs on the property. Environmental crimes, DEQ. If this is the first time you guys are seeing them, I'm sorry, but somebody else should be sorry who's getting copied on these. And who is thinking of the citizens' liability, or any of our citizens, to be getting rid of contamination who's getting the contamination? Is Whitefeather? Is the landfill getting it? Let's see it. Let's see the proof. Because I can tell you what, we got mounds of dirt in Collin that tell me something different. I've gotten these soils tested. I know where they're going. They're going right there. I put an end to it. I got pressure on them, but it needs pressure all the way around, especially when the DNR or DEQ is not being upfront with our law enforcement official, our top law enforcement official in the county, the sheriff. If the DEQ and the DNR are not being up with him or the prosecutor, who can we even trust? I can tell you this, I don't trust the DEQ. What they did in Flint gives me no reason to. What they're doing here, I feel, is the same or worse, because you don't know who it's affecting here. We don't have those kind of tests. Not if they're not looking for it. You can't just go out and test some water if you don't know what chemical you're looking for. You can't go and test a soil if you don't know what you're looking for. Let's go and find out what was at SC Johnson on that property, and let's test for all of it. Let's know what those people in the Collin River, Collin watershed, any of those farmers, anything anybody is becoming contact with. Let's find it out. But the nepotism that's happening in Collin Township with hiring family with no contracts, or throwing a lawsuit at my family to hide fraudulent deeds. When property is stolen from a family in a business that's been there for 50 years, in the family's crying out to the community who it's paid the taxes to, who's been wronged. We're all in this together as far as I know. And I don't feel it right now. And I really want to see a community, grasp this and say, I don't want to see our whole county turn into a dump. This problem is not just here. It's from the top of the county to the bottom of the county, and east to west. This is not small. This is a big scale thing where contractors are taking things that need to go to a landfill, and they're profiting off of it. They're working for big companies, big corporations, and I hope nobody's trying to hide that. But these companies, I don't think they want their waste to go to the landfill, go anywhere else but the landfill. I think that these companies that hired these people to do so, I think they're the ones who got frauded here. But the citizens need to know what they hauled in. What did they haul in? I want to know. I want to know that the contractor's not the one doing the testing, because that's what happened with the DEQ. How can you let the criminal test his own stuff? How? That's not right. I mean, that's like him trying his own case. Yeah, well, Brian Rudolph of the DEQ, I don't trust him. He runs a lot of this in this county. All the violations. He's been very ignorant to me, and I'm trying to be truthful and transparent to everything and everybody with my findings. And like I said before, I have thousands of documents, and I'd love for a commissioner to actually ask me, I want to see them. I want to see them, because I got them. And it sucks that nobody wants to see them. But when you know this contractor doesn't have motor carrier specifications to even haul down the highway in Bay County, that's something the sheriff needs to know about from the DOT or whomever. We don't have a motor carrier weighmaster like we used to in Bay County. That's something that needs to happen because it gives townships and county accountability. That weighmaster might be in Saginaw, Midland, Aranac. Let's know that we have one in our hometown to police all this stuff. I think the sheriff if he needs funding for it, we should be giving him the funding for it. We used to have one. I used to run wreckers. I've seen them all the time. They're not there to harass. They're there to watch and make sure that everybody is accountable for what they're doing. I mean, what's happening in Caucallon is, it's just wrong to say a person has money, the rich person should get treated like the poor person. It's not so in this case. This person's claimed to have connections in this community. This person's claimed to have power over the courts. I believe he does. I do. I believe he does. He's shown me. Does he have power over the DEQ? I believe he does. He's left that in a voice recording of a phone call. We'll see how that DEQ stuff happens. How can a criminal know the outcome of what the prosecutor or the judge is going to say? I mean, it's very troublesome to know that that happens in this county that I grew up in, that my family's been a part of. I'm asking for help. I don't want to feel like I'm on deaf ears. I dearly need help. I need the judges to know about this. I need the prosecutor. I see she's here today. I don't want this thrown out. I want this investigated in. I believe that there is some very good things that can come out of this, and we can all trust that from this point on, we're going to clean up our county. We're going to make sure things go to the right place. I mean, if these guys don't have licensing to haul waste materials or contaminants or anything for that matter, from the sounds of it with the DOT, what are we doing? Why aren't we full force on these people? Why don't we have every type of law enforcement on this to make sure that, hey, if that's what's there, let's get this cleaned up. Let's get it contained. Let's make sure that it don't get to some kid who's swimming in the waterway or a fish that some kid's going to eat or some family. This is not right. And for any of you to turn deaf ears on that, I would think that it's going to be something that's going to stop you from sleeping at night, not me anymore. I don't want to just be the only one knowing about this.
Right.
So, and I have a feeling that there's a big civil conspiracy that Caucallon Township's put against my family due to them being a owner of property that got sold to this contractor. And the only information, according to Brandon Kraus, this is it. This is what he gave me. But Calcallan Township owns a certain portion of property that this contractor has possession of. You can't sell something you don't own. If this is Calcallan Township's property, it needs to be dealt with in the right way. And the supervisor of Calcallan Township, I feel, is the only way this thing could have even got through. So if they don't want me to find out what they're doing, it's too late. I found out. I'm sick of it. I want answers and I want accountability. The only place Brandon Kraus says these are is the Bay County Historical Society. And that guy right there, he's got it. Do they want me to have it? They haven't. It cost me a lot of money to get what I feel is community property. And I do. I feel all that stuff is community property in that building. If I paid taxes on it, and so did the rest of the community, when I want to see it, I want to see it. I don't want to be thrown in the dirt like it's nothing. It is something. It's family history. Any of us in this community have some kind of history here. Mine's got a long withstanding history. Now, respect it, please. I want this cleaned up for everybody, not just my family. It's just wrong, and if there's any questions, please. I'm an open book. I'd love to answer them. And I really would like to know that Jim and Ernie are going to take me to Lansing. I really was told that. I want to see that, guys. I haven't received that phone call. It's been a couple of weeks. My phone's good. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Seeing none? We go to petitions and communications. Under item A, we have the Bay County Prosecutor, the Crimes Victim Rights Grant.
So moved. Support.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next is the Victims of Crimes Act, the VOCA grant. What is your pleasure on that?
So moved. Support.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion on that? Just in case, I'm a prosecutor, so we could ask. No. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Same sign. Motion carried. Next we have, under item B, we have the Bay County Executive, the 401k Board appointment.
So moved. Support.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion? I think Mike Rogolski will do a good job. Yes, Jim?
Yeah, I think Mike is well-known personality to everyone in the county building, did a tremendous job leading the finance department for decades, a couple of decades at least. And we reached out to Mike and he said he'd be interested in serving on the 401k board, and we'd like to reactivate that a little bit more. It's been kind of quiet, correct, Tiffany?
Yes, we'll be meeting quarterly.
So, yeah, that committee will start meeting quarterly, and we thought Mike is a former county employee, a retiree, be an excellent choice given the knowledge he has of the financial markets and his work with the retirement board. So he's well qualified, as everyone knows.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Anyone else? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we have the Court Administrator, the Treatment Court Grants.
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, under D, we have the Director of Administrative Services and Animal Control Manager. Thank you, Mike. I see Mike was here. Oh, he's gone already.
He was here.
He was here. Okay. So this has to do with some floor repairs over at Animal Control. What is your pleasure?
So moved.
Support.
Commissioner Krieger.
So are we doing these floors in-house, or is there an outside contractor coming in?
The goal, part of it would be done in-house. There is, there would be new flooring that would be contracted out. The idea, we would use we would take some existing tiles from the area that's good and repair an area, so to reduce the cost overall for this year.
Okay,
We would incur some. in-house.
thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we have under E, Director of Recreation and Facilities, the award of the parking lot lease. What is your pleasure on that?
So moved. Support.
Have a motion and support. Any discussion on that? They're the same ones that they've been leasing for, what, a couple,
20 plus.
yeah, a couple decades. Okay. Didn't want to pay more, huh? Okay. Seeing none? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, under Personnel Director, we have the Delta College Fitness and Recreation Center Agreement.
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Commissioner Krieger.
Thank you. Kristen, so we reduced the number, actually, I think it comes to you, Tiff. See, you dodged the bullet.
The other end, right?
So with us dropping it down to 5, do we still get a count of monthly or quarterly of how many county employees or retirees have used the facility?
The most recent reporting period, which was May 17th through February of 2018, there were 380 total visits that comprised of 40 retirees employees.
Wonderful. I've always been in support of this, and I think it's made a real good change with our employees and making them a little healthier, so thank you.
Yeah, I think it's worked well towards, along with our, treatment centers for the wellness of the county and their employees. Keep costs down. Anyone else? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we have the E-Verify.
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion on that one? She dodged the bullet. All in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next, under G, we have the BCATS Director, Memorandum of Understanding between MDOT, BCATS, and BMTA. What is your pleasure?
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we have the Deputy Equalization Director of the 2018 Equalization. I think this is a preliminary report. She's not. What is your pleasure on that?
So moved. Support.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion on that? Just one question. We're waiting for township information, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then we have to have that in
Tomorrow.
by, okay. So you'll just.
I have them all in. I'm trying to finalize with the last 2 townships right now, and I should have the report to you by the end of the week.
Okay, so it'll be on next week's agenda.
I have the next best thing of what I just calculated today, and the one I had given you was at a 0.63% increase in taxable. The one that I finished today shows 1.35.
Oh,
So It's looking much better when you get all the information.
Well, that's good. Might help the general fund. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carried. So next, under I, we have the Director of Department of Aging, the Billboard Agreement. What is your pleasure on that one?
So moved.
We have a motion,
Support.
and we have support. Any discussion? Commissioner Krieger.
So,
That means you're up.
that's right. Afternoon. So this is the first time that we're actually going to do a billboard, correct?
Absolutely, yeah.
And are we looking at other locations if this is successful then?
Yes.
Because at
Yes.
some point-
We have to do it per flight, and what a flight is a month. So we are taking the one that is by Putz's,
Yep.
and we're going to do 2 flights, which is 2 months, and it ends up being during one of our busier times for downtown, and that particular billboard gets over 65,000 looks a day.
So
I mean, a month, excuse me.
will you see that billboard going over the bridge or going towards the bridge?
Going east on the bridge.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Yes, it will be going east. If this is successful and it helps us get our name back out there, I'm out there doing, talks and things like that too, but we're looking for just a little more word about exactly what we do. And if this is successful, there's a couple other places, that we might end that billboard and do. We did budget for stuff like this with our marketing, so.
Were we able to work out a deal with Lamar? Or
Yes, or actually a really good deal. I thought the $150 setup fee for them to take what I've got and redesign it and for the billboard was pretty cheap considering what it should be, so.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good. Thank you.
Commissioner Wright.
Bill, what is the benchmark for success on a billboard? I'm not a big fan of billboard stuff, so I guess I'm kind of interested in how you.
Well, we're
what's the
trying this.
benchmark you're using it, because certainly if we're going to put, if it's called successful, then we're going to do others. So I'm interested in how we're going to.
Well, the minute it goes up, we're going to start keeping track of how many referrals that we get from the public, not so much from hospitals and things like that, but from actually our public. And I'm hoping, this is being low, but I'm hoping to reach at least 100 people with this billboard. When we brought it up in our marketing team and they were talking about it, I wasn't really on, completely, and they sold me on it, especially when I started seeing how many views this billboard can get with the traffic that goes back and forth. So we're trying something different. We're stepping out of our box and trying something new, which,
So you're actually then going to survey any new interests then?
Correct. Correct. Yes, any calls that we get in, we're going to keep track of the girls up front. We'll put it on our G Drive. That way we can keep track of how many calls we get in. We're going to ask them, how'd you hear about us? And see what they tell us, and if this works, yay. If this doesn't, well, we try something different,
Commissioner Brigade.
Normally, I would say, social media is the way to go, but I'll probably get in trouble saying this. The older crowd is always into the social media. Like my mom was done before.
We're on Facebook, so like us on Facebook. We are on Facebook under Bay County Department on Aging, but we're trying to reach more people. I can go and talk to a ton of people, but if I'm trying to figure out other ways to reach out to our 60 and better population in Bay County.
Anybody else over here? Jim.
Oh, I was just going to say, Beth, you've been doing a great job reaching out to the community. And I get a lot of positive feedback when you do present at a service club or organization. And so we appreciate you ramping up the Department on Aging's efforts to But I like the sound of that, 60 or better.
60 and better, yep.
60 and better.
Yep.
They'll let them know what they're entitled to in terms of benefits available at the federal and
Yeah,
state
one of the
level,
things we want to
as
put
well
on
as
the billboard is, not just what our community-based services are, but it's going to say, are you 60 and better? You qualify. More information, call 895-4100. And that way, they're going to see that and they're going to call us. Will they be, in with every single thing that we do? But no, it's just an outreach. If we can't help them, then we can direct them to other agencies that can. And that's part of Department on Aging's mission. So.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Thanks, Pat.
Thank you.
So, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Next, we have the Environmental Affairs and Community Development. The Gypsy Moth Program Coordinator is bringing us these things. Under J1, we have the recognition of the 2017-18 Green Schools.
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Are we going to make those presentations next week, right? Okay. Did you have something, Commissioner?
Yeah, it's Bangor Lincoln School that's involved with this with the fourth grade students, and Mrs. Milster is helping with this program. I think it's great that the kids are picking up on environmental concerns, going more with recycling. So hats off to the school. I think as time goes on, more and more schools will get in with the program, giving out basic information, helpful hints, how you can become a better steward of our environment. So I'm happy to say that it's in my district.
Yes, would you like to say something?
Well, they've been, just to let everybody know, we, in past years, we've had, the maximum schools we ever had participate was 4. This year, we have 7 schools. Bangor Lincoln Elementary is one that came on board, and they're super excited. And I think we might have a few extra people in the audience next week because their parents are very involved. They've really embraced this program, the project of, just recognizing the fact that they really do a lot to be good stewards of the environment and learning about proper ways to utilize our resources. We also have had 2 middle schools, the 2 middle schools from Bay City Public Schools joined the effort and have been recognized this year also, Handy Middle School and Bay City Western. So those are new schools on board. The Bear Neck ISD has been with us. This will be the 6th year that Auburn Area Catholic School has participated, and John Glenn High School has participated for many years, and then State Street Academy joined us last year on earning this recognition. So all of these schools, every school in Bay County could qualify as a Michigan Green School because they do a lot of environmental stewardship. They do a lot of, they do all of the things that they need to earn this recognition. It's just, they have to apply. And that's what I've been trying to help them with that and encouraging them. And so I really appreciate I've gotten that.
Just an added thought also, on April 21st, Bangor Green Team will be putting on, we'll call it a spring cleanup. People will be able to bring appliances and whatever to get recycled. And the school is actually going to be taking care of a couple booths, talking about simple things, simple ideas that individuals can do that's cost saving and environmentally Sound.
And they've invited us to have booths, have
Yep.
a booth there. And because mosquito control will have information about their tire drives there, and, we'll have information about recycling that is maintained through our program, through the environmental affairs. And we'll have information about invasive species, and it's going to be a fun event. They invited us, and,
Yep.
we're going to actually partner with them, putting it on our Facebook and that. So that's all bringing the community together, and, a simple thing is recognition of schools for being sound stewards of our environment.
Super.
Well, maybe we can grow the numbers beyond 7 next year.
Yeah, I'm hoping.
Anyone else? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next is the bid contract for the 4-year treatment of the Emerald Ash Borer. What is your pleasure on that?
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion on that? I think it's a good thing to lock it in for 4 years if we can.
Get that price.
Seeing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Next, we have payables, the General Center Ridge Arms. What is your pleasure on that?
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion? I didn't see anything bad that we could. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carried. Next, we have the finance officer bringing us under L1, the budget adjustments. What is your pleasure on that?
So move.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carried. Under L2, we have the analysis of the general fund equity, motion to receive.
Move to receive.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion on that one? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Under L3, we have the Executive Directive 2007-11.
Move to receive.
Support. We have a motion to receive and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. Under L4, we have the 2017 Purchasing Division Summary. We
Support.
have a motion to receive and support. Any discussion on that item? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Next, we have the grant and other agreement amendment, which is to address our retirement versus VIVA funding. What is your pleasure on that?
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion? Commissioner Creed.
Just to touch base, Roberto, you'll be monitoring them, involved with this, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And we'll get some kind of feedback then on where we're standing as far as funding?
Well, we still have our budget stabilization fund, which is a separate 20%. That's practically 6.7 million. But our other fund balance we're using up. We put a large amount into VIVA in this year's budget.
Good. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the main concern with this one is just to address those grants, and break them out that right now under our grant policy, we have 8% that is going to retirement. And because of our directives over the last year and through the budget process, we're splitting that 4 and 4. And we have to go back to the granting agencies to ensure that they're either gonna pick up both parts of that 4, or they may reject the VIVA portion of it and not reimburse us for that. So that's the whole reason for this,
Right.
to clarify it. So,
The 4% is mandatory through each contract for that retirement. But we've been putting the 4% into an additional 4%. Now we're just going to switch to 4% over.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Under 6, we have the MGT Consulting Group, not counseling group, consulting group. What is your pleasure on this one?
So moved.
Support. We have a motion and support. Any discussion on this one? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Under 7, we have the Information Systems Manager, the renewal of the Air Advantage contract.
So moved.
Support. We have a motion and support. Any discussion on those? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. I don't believe we have any referrals, which is the next item. Do we have anything under unfinished business?
New business.
And then new business, we have actually 2 items. One is written here, which is the sheriff, which is Bangor Township Schools and Bangor Township additional police services.
So moved.
Support. We have a motion and support. Any discussion on that? They want to be safer in Bangor with all the permits that they're letting loose on us out there. Any questions for the sheriff while he's here? No? Okay. You're safe. Don't have to come. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. Next, you were handed out this item, which is for the Marine Corps League for the Edison Van Dyke Bay County Detachment and Auxiliary for their 2019 Department Convention at the Doubletree. There's their request letter on one side and the motion is on the other side. This is budgeted funds. We already have in the budget. This is just to approve the use of those funds and the times, correct? The timing of it.
I'll move it.
Support. We have a motion and support. Any discussion? Vaughn's reading. Yes, Commissioner Grant.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. What budget does that come out of, the general fund or soldiers?
It comes out of the general fund. There's a specific statute that deals with convention funding outside of soldiers and sailors relief. So this is not millage funding, this is general fund dollars, but we do budget at least $2,500 every year in a specific line item for conventions.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. That's all I have.
Anyone else? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. You're good to go. Do we need a closed session?
There is no need to close session, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Anything under miscellaneous? Commissioner Krieger.
Yep, thank you, Mr. Chair. I talked with Amber about some of the issues that were brought up under Personnel and Human Services dealing with the Historical Society and the literature or books that we've sent over there. If you could share some of the things that you found for me, I'd appreciate it. It's related back to what Mr. Eddy had brought up last 2 weeks ago.
Sure. I just wanted to make sure that everybody's clear that we have the Bay County Historical Society that uses millage funds through our historical millage to do all sorts of preservation activities around Bay County. We have a contract with them to use the millage funds for that purpose. The contract that Mr. Eddy brought to your attention during the last meeting was a specific contract for a document repository services. And what we do under that contract is the treasurer has to, by law, keep his tax records for a certain number of years. He keeps them, the more recent records, on site with the county. After a certain period of time, we entered into an agreement with the Historical Society to preserve those records as required by the records retention policy.
Once those documents are donated, and I'm going to use that term donated because at that point in time, we turn all custody and control of the documents over to the Historical Society. The purpose of keeping the documents at that point is not necessarily transparency and public access of the public records, it's the preservation of the public record. And the reason that they have a separate fee schedule that's attached to the back of the contract is because they are in a climate-controlled facility, and since their main purpose is preservation of the records, the only individuals that are allowed to go back and search through the records are the staff of the Historical Society, and they charge a rate for, I believe it's every half-hour increment in order to produce those documents. I did speak with Mike Pachacalupo, got it right, third time around. He did inform me that all of the documents that were requested by Mr. Eddy previously were provided to him, but there was a cost associated with that record provision just due to the fact that they had a great number of staff that were going through all of the books in order to provide that information. Unfortunately, because of the fact that we are utilizing the Historical Society as a repository for the historical preservation of those records, the public can't just come in at any given time and start going through the record books. You could be looking at records that could, span back 80 years. The condition of them may be not so great. We don't want people who aren't taking great care and going through them. And in addition, you would have to have a staff member from the Historical Society sitting on site with that individual the entire time to ensure that nothing happens to the documents. So I just wanted to make sure that that the board was aware of the fact that these are two separate contracts and different purposes. If we decided not to utilize the Historical Society to act as the repository for these records, we would actually have to pay them to prepare the documents to return to us, and then we would have to find another entity that would be willing to act as a repository to preserve those documents. So the millage is completely separate. This is an agreement that we entered into in order to preserve those records. The manner in which the public has access to them once they're considered donated and in preservation mode is that the Historical Society staff is the one who goes back and retrieves the information for it.
So the county then relinquishes any, how would we say it, any kind of oversight on those once they've been transferred over to the Historical Society?
Once they're transferred over and donated, although they technically still belong to the county because at any point in time for a fee we could retrieve them and get them back, but we relinquish custody and control of them because we're not in the business of preserving.
And are there any other geographic areas that those could have gone to other than the Historical Society, or?
Not that I'm aware of, certainly not for a substantially larger cost.
Okay, the library wouldn't be equipped to be able to handle this?
No.
Okay. Amber, thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Joanne.
I have just one question. As far as you know, Mr. Eddy's request for his information was fulfilled 100%.
That is my understanding, and Mr. Bacigalupo is here, and he can answer any questions that any of the board members may have as it relates to that specific request as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else? Commissioner Brigade.
The Michigan Association of Counties meeting was last Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I got to go to the veterans session. It looks like that bill is going to go through, which will get some money back to the counties, a base of $25,000 plus a per capita on top of that for veteran services, like veteran service officers and things like that. So it looks like it'll go through. So there's really never been any money allocated from the legislature. They had passed some legislation, but never really sound like an unfunded mandate type thing. But they would never do that. But now it sounds like they're going to do some funding for veterans. So I think it's good news, and hopefully Soldiers and Sailors Relief Fund be able to use some of that money and offset some of our general fund money maybe.
Probably that they realize that they're still alive and voting.
Yeah. Why? Also, we had a session on self-driving cars. Sort of interesting, but I don't know how pertinent it is to the county at this point, but somewhere along the line it might be pertinent to everybody, but the ways down the road, especially if they're running over people, so that might slow it down a bit. But And then opioids, I got to introduce the speaker as the Ingham County Health Director, Linda Vale, about the program they have down there. It's a multifaceted program. It's not a simple solution. Treatment is involved, prevention, incarceration. There's sort of a little back and forth between incarceration and treatment. They did talk about treatment courts as being a good option versus, putting them all in jail. I did talk to a police officer down there who would like to put them all in jail, though. So it costs a little bit of money to put them all in jail. So, and it still doesn't treat their addiction. So, and there's new laws going into effect, by the way. I think I mentioned before, June 1st, about how much you can get, like a 7-day supply for new people. You got to have a relationship with them. These are providers, doctors and PAs. And you got to do maps on them, so they're trying to put some restrictions about the drugs. Michigan is one of the higher ones. I think they said there's 111 painkiller prescriptions for every 100 people. So everybody has got at least one pain prescription at one time, or in the last year or so. We're third highest for hydrocodone use, and there is litigation still going forward. Several of the counties mentioned that they're pursuing a lawsuit against the pharmaceutical companies. Actually, Purdue Pharma was charged back in 2007 and paid a hefty fine because of marketing their painkillers. So it sounds like we might be on board with that. But it's an ongoing problem and not an easy solution. That was about it. I don't know, Bob went to, I think, OPEB. Actually, I think no counties are on the watch list as far as
Well,
so far.
they're going to revise it.
Yeah.
There's not too many that aren't on the list.
At least yet.
So with the self-driving cars, that part that you were in, are we gonna have to pass ordinances that they can have those within our county, or what?
Yeah, it's probably gonna have to trickle down from the national and state level. I don't know if our county exec has any idea what we can do for self-driving cars. It's a long ways off.
I've sat in on a few sessions regarding liability in the event that someone, as recently happened, does get killed. And of course, it was RMA, yeah, that we had that presentation at the Doubletree several months back. And it was interesting, they did mention a concern about Tesla did a demonstration of a driverless car in China. Somebody hacked into it and crashed it and during the demonstration. So we've got a long way to go before I think we can have total confidence in the self-driving cars. But also, thanks, Vaughn, for that update on Mac. And just wanted to mention, too, that the company you mentioned is a defendant in our RICO litigation that Bay County is involved with. And we should have something to report on that very soon when it's filed. I think everything is complete. And we just want you to know that I think Bay County is in the forefront, thanks to your leadership, all of the commission and Amber and all of us going on record in terms of holding the pharmaceutical companies accountable for some of their marketing practices that infuse, as you mentioned, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of oxycodone, OxyContin pills, into society, and many people get hooked and then go down that path. Saw in the news today, fentanyl is now being cut with cocaine and also methamphetamine. So it's not just heroin at this point, but fentanyl seems to be the main ingredient causing the overdose deaths. I don't know if the sheriff would agree with that. I don't know. That was in the news anyway. But thank you, Vaughn, for mentioning and giving us that update. Thanks.
Commissioner Krieg.
I do have one last question, Kristen, even though you dodged the first bullet. Do we have a date set that maybe we could let people that are getting anxious to get their clubs out for the golf course?
We are so anxious as well, but right now with the look of the weather, we're thinking it's going to be at least a week. We typically don't know until the day of because it's all so weather dependent.
Sure.
So If we could do it in a week, I would be so happy. Last year was more like the end of April. I hope it doesn't take that long. But I guess we'll keep it, we have a Facebook page, we'll put it on our Facebook page, and
Wonderful.
we also have it on our answer machine out there, so keep in touch.
All right, thank you.
We have to get a billboard.
That's no way. Easy.
Okay, announcements. Or that over now? No, you got one coming up, don't you?
No, well, we do have our beach wellness coming up in June,
Right.
June 23rd. And
I'm trying to
again,
give you all the space.
thank you. And again, Bangor Township Green Team, their little deal's April 21st, so that'll be good.
Oh, yes, Jim.
Mike, just one brief announcement, and that is the MIDC did approve Bay County's rules that Andrea Levine resubmitted, so the second time was a charm, and it's all been approved. So we're in coordination with the state on that front.
Now we just need funding, right?
No money yet, though.
So hold our hand on that.
Move to adjourn.
Support.
We have a motion and support, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. We are adjourned.